Okay, so first of all, I want to let everyone know that I grew up in the medical model the way that most people do. Most people prescribe to a theory of medicine in the United States. I developed an autoimmune condition when I was in my 30s, and I was getting very, very sick. And I went to the medical doctors, which is what you're supposed to do when you get sick, right? And I kept getting more sick and more sick. And I was doing everything that I was supposed to do. This culminated in ending up with a specialist who proposed a experimental therapy that cost $3,000, worked about half the time, took 12 months, and killed 1 out of every 1,000 people who take this drug. That was the eye-opening moment where I said, I've got to do something differently. So I called my buddy from high school who was a chiropractor, and he knew what was going on. We remained friends and stayed in contact. And he said, look, here's all you have to do. Clean up your diet. I'm going to send you some supplements. He sent me a cleanse that was like $1,000 worth of supplements. And he said, I want you to go and get adjusted 2 or 3 times a week. Your nervous system and your body are attacking themselves, so you have to reset it. I did that, and an infection that had lasted 90 days through 2 rounds of antibiotics was gone by the end of that first week, and it has never been back, and that was over 10 years ago. So while I was teaching, I was looking for something different at the time. This health event happened to me personally, and it was like a sign from God. Here we go. This is what I have to do for the rest of my life. So my goal today is to try to flip the switch in your brain so that you can realize there is another option to modern medicine. Now, the caveat to that, if I'm in an emergency situation, I still go to the doctor. But my theory is modern medicine excels at emergency care, and we do really, really poorly at non-emergency care or maintenance. Where do you think we rank in industrialized countries as far as healthcare system?
It's 37.
It's 23rd, but we're always at the bottom, which makes no sense because per capita, we spend more money. We're number 1 at spending money in healthcare, but we're like dead last in the outcomes. So I'm going to talk about why that is. And Houston, if you don't mind. So imagine that you're driving down the road and your oil light goes on in your car. What are you going to do?
Ignore it.
You're going to ignore it. You're what? No, you're going to go with the check. If your check engine light came on or your oil light came on, raise your hand if you would do absolutely nothing about it indefinitely. Really?
We're terrible.
What would happen if you never handled it?
I get a new car. I mean,
Your motor burns out. Okay, let me propose this to you. Every symptom that you have, it doesn't matter. Headaches, indigestion, aches and pains, neck pain, back pain. All symptoms are your body's oil light turning on. So imagine you pull your car into the Jiffy Lube and you say, hey, my oil light's on, can you help me? So the guy comes back and he says, hey, we fixed the problem, we disconnected your oil light. Well, I have a little picture there. How would you feel about that service? Horrible, because you're going to keep on driving down the road and your motor's going to be destroyed and then you're out thousands of dollars. What you're doing when you take Tylenol for a headache, Ambien to sleep, muscle relaxers, pain relievers, you're disconnecting the oil light and you're continuing to drive down the road without actually doing anything. That's exactly what we do. And we are trained to do that by an extremely effective marketing team with more money than any other lobbying group in existence. And I'm talking about the pharmaceutical company. You would never accept this as an appropriate solution to your oil light or your vehicle, but you're doing the exact same thing when you accept medication as a permanent solution to a problem. And like Chelsea said, all you're doing is putting a piece of tape over the issue and driving on down the road, and eventually your motor is going to burn out. But unlike a vehicle, you can't replace the motor system in your body. Next slide, please. Okay, we've already talked about this. That's the symptomatology. Are there any medical doctors in the room? So I'm going to beat up on them a little bit. Good.
You're on camera.
I won't cuss then, but I'm still going to beat up on them. Because it's a failed philosophy, and I fell victim to it. I spent a major portion of my life masking up and covering symptoms. Allopathy, and this is the philosophy of modern medicine, is the treatment of disease by conventional means. In other words, drugs having the opposite effects of symptoms. But that does not equate to health, and that's the lie that we have all been sold and told by the pharmaceutical company. That if you don't have any symptoms, you're healthy. That's not true at all. Who knows the first sign of a heart attack? The first symptom?
Heart attack?
It's usually death. So think about all the people that are on statins for cholesterol, high blood pressure. They're not fixing the problem. They're not addressing whatever is causing the high blood pressure, whatever is causing the high cholesterol. They're ripping out the oil light, driving down the road, and the motor burns out. Next slide, please. So here's the mode that most Americans are stuck in. Step 1, develop an illness. Okay, we've probably all done that by this age. I know I have. Step 2, take some drugs. Okay. Step 3, feel fantastic. And this is the commercial that you see in between the shows, right? The pharmaceutical companies, man, there's butterflies and unicorns flying around, and everybody feels great. Just take an Ambien, just take an antidepressant, just take a pill. We've got one for every pill. But what you don't read, the fine print, side effects include death. Even Tylenol. 50 people a year in the U.S. die from Tylenol. Can you believe that? Yes. A personal friend of mine was in the hospital a month ago because she OD'd on Tylenol. Next slide, please. Medical error. The third leading cause of death in the U.S. 251,000 people a year. That's more people that are dying from COVID at this point. But we're not talking about it. We're not locking down. We're not wearing masks. We're just sweeping it under the rug, unfortunately. These are just the statistics. This is from the CDC themselves. They just don't talk about it. You have to dig for it. Now, the good stuff. I spent most of my time reading up on modern medicine. Chiropractic is a system of optimizing human performance and potential by restoring or enhancing the body's function. Your nervous system controls every vital organ, every vital system in your body is controlled by the brain and the nervous system. It's the master controller, and the spine is the protective housing for the nervous system, and it's like a breaker box. When you're feeling pain, what's the first thing that happens when you get back pain? You lock down, you restrict range of motion. That's the breaker going off. That's the body protecting itself so you don't do further damage to that nerve root, to those muscles, to those end organs. My job as a chiropractor is to find the breaker switch that isn't working properly and restore motion into the spine. That's all it is. And for some reason, the medical doctors think we're crazy, but it's really not illogical. It makes sense. If you have a spinal bone that's not moving properly, putting pressure on a nerve, affecting end organs, cells, tissues, and muscles, when you turn the switch back on, everything starts to function properly. Next slide. And look at this. Again, the nerve system touches everything in your body. Your respiration, your digestion, your reproduction. Hey, there was a lady that came into the clinic with back pain. They've been trying to have kids for 2 years, went through 2 rounds of the fertilization, whatever therapy you call it. She went through treatment, her back pain disappeared, and she got pregnant by her husband. I didn't. In the process. Go to the reproductive organs. So if any guys are having trouble in here, I can help you too.
That's a good one.
This is a scoliosis case. A young girl came in 78-degree curve when she started in her spine. That's not normal. It was compressing her heart. They were recommending surgery, but her parents didn't have insurance and they didn't have $100,000. Luckily, we were able to get her under the surgical threshold in just 3 months. Surgical threshold is 40 degrees. Now she's walking around with a 27-degree curve. So, if your friends are sick, tell them there is a light. You do not have to get stuck in this model. I'm living proof. Growing up, I had asthma, allergies, headaches, coughs, always sick, always on antibiotics. I'm 46 years old. I'm very rarely sick. I'm on no medications. I take vitamin D, probiotics, and a multi. That's all I do. Oh, and I get adjusted on a regular basis. And I get massage on a regular basis. And I do yoga every day. So I do a lot of things to keep myself healthy because I want to stay outside of that medical model. If you know anybody that has a health concern, they don't have to be a patient. I'd love to talk to them anyways. I know I'm just a hair over on time. I'd like to do a quick demonstration, if that's okay. Josh, you don't mind coming up? The last objection people have about chiropractic is that it's rough. Again, medical doctors say it's dangerous. I want to show you a light and gentle technique called prone that I use on senior citizens, kids, people that have bone density issues. This is legitimately how much pressure I use on my older folks and my younger folks. Scanning the spine for areas that don't have motion. That just popped. It's that easy when you know what you're doing. We're putting light pressure on the pelvis, sacrum, looking for areas that are restricted. And I know Josh very well. I adjust him quite a bit. That's it, my friend. So, as simple and as easy as that seems, if I can get someone on the table and put motion into their spine, even with that gentle light pressure, over the course of a few months, they will get better. The body will heal itself. Sorry for going over on time. Daniel Murray, Vanguard Chiropractor.